live in the Loose Lounge today. Well, we're more than honoured to be joined by Hollywood comedy royalty in the shape of Ghostbusters and Blues Brothers superstar Dan Aykroyd. Now, Dan, we really do feel honoured that you're joining us today, but how are you feeling about being in the centre of a loose woman club sandwich?
Well, I am definitely the ham component. And a thick, nice Canadian slice of bacon I am.
Marvellous. Well, I can't tell you what they're saying on this table right now, but we're looking forward to chatting later. But for now, it's Dan Aykroyd. Now, don't miss out on the opportunity to ask the one and only Dan Aykroyd a question. Go to our website, email us at loose.women@itv.com, post on our Facebook page, or tweet us using the hashtag #LooseWomen. It's the same address. Break time now, but make sure you're back with us in 3 and we'll be meeting movie superstar Dan Aykroyd. Now, if you were to go and have a browse through your movie collection, then it's more than likely you'll find one or more of the following fantastic films amongst them. The hilarious Trading Places, the soulful, song-filled Blues Brothers, and the solid gold classic Ghostbusters. Well, these are just 3 cinematic greats out of a whole catalogue of classics which starred our next guest. Starting out on the legendary US show Saturday Night Live, he went on to help define some of the most memorable movies ever to grace the silver screen. Let's have a look at the infectious song that accompanied the famous film, Ghostbusters. Please welcome Dan Aykroyd! Take a stool.
Shall I sit? I'm going to be here a little while.
Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful.
And we're thrilled that you are as well. We were just watching the video, obviously, there.
I know. I don't remember all those celebrity cameos. Somebody must have pulled some strings to get that to happen. And of course, one of them doing Mick Jagger was Al Franken, who is now our federal senator from Minnesota in the United States.
Oh, is he?
And he's doing a great job there as well.
That's fantastic.
And you're from Yorkshire, are you not?
That's right,
yes. Yes. Well, you know, the Aykroyd family up there in Pecketwell and Haworth. In fact, one of my forebears, I'm so proud to say, was Tabitha Aykroyd, and she was the housekeeper for the Brontes.
Oh! Yeah. Probably related.
Those are old celebrities, the Brontes, yeah.
Probably related.
Yeah, could be. Could be. Well, I love going back there. It's so beautiful.
You go to Yorkshire?
I went up to see the old, what they call the Aykroyd, which is the original croft house that you know, my forebears lived in, yeah.
It's a lovely place.
It is, yeah.
You should
Did they have mills?
Yes, they did. In fact, Edward...
See?
Yeah. That's right. Edward Aykroyd was a forebear of mine, and he had a worsted mill.
There you are. I knew it. You can tell.
Yeah.
I'm a bit gobsmacked now.
Now, just going back to Ghostbusters for a minute. Now, you were probably, I'd say, 90% responsible for the film, weren't you? You wrote it, it was your idea, everything else, but you give Bill Murray much more credit than you give yourself for that film.
Murray was definitely probably the greatest comic leading man that we've seen in American cinema since, you know, the greats like Jimmy Stewart and some of the stars from the 30s. So, you know, we basically could not have pulled the film off without his talent and his ability and his energy. And you know, when we wrote the film, Harold and Ivan and I just decided, you know, we just got to give it to Murray. And so he was really really instrumental in delivering our dialogue and the whole energy of the film. He's just such a brilliant talent and such a magnetic guy, and he played the romance beautifully. And no, the films were, I would say, 50% Murray. You know, that's what we owe the credit to.
And they changed a bit, didn't they? Because weren't you? It was supposed to be a kind of, you know, out of space paranormal thing, but
it was a bit darker. You know, my family's been into paranormal research for many years. My great-grandfather Sam Aykroyd was a spiritualist, and he studied, you know, Crooks and Oliver Lodge and Conan Doyle and all the spiritualists in England at the time of the British Society for Psychical Research. So I had that going in my family, and the first script was much darker. My first original draft was pretty dark. It was more like I don't know, underworld or something like that.
Really?
So not set in New York, then?
It was set in New York, but
Ah.
more, it was comedy, but it was more sort of kind of an ironic, doom-filled comedy. And then, you know, we got with Ivan and Harold, and they said, let's lighten this up, and so more people will come to see it.
Where did the slime come from?
Well, the slime is
ectoplasm,
it's
maybe?
based upon ectoplasm. There was a researcher called Charles Richet, and he was one of the main ectoplasm hunters at the turn of the century, along with an Austrian named Dr. Schrenk-Notzing. That's a nice... Dr. Notzing, Dr. Schrenk-Notzing. Nice, yeah. So ectoplasm is basically the residue that occurs after some spiritual events. And Charles Richet saw an ectoplasmic hand come out of a medium once, and he was mad. He said, now I've got to change everything I believe about science, everything I believe about philosophy and religion. It's got to change because I've just seen an ectoplasmic hand come out of a guy's stomach, and it completely turned him around. And he had to realize that there's more to life than just the 4 dimensions we live in, life as length, space, width, and time. And so that was his great revelation, and ectoplasm is a residue. Now, of course, in the movie, we had buckets of slime there. Usually, ectoplasm will vanish quite quickly, and it's more of kind of an ashy substance than it is a liquid substance. I've never seen any, but I've read lots of reports, and all the people that have...
You see?
Okay.
Scientist at the end.
She says,
I'm a
the
believer,
cynic at
Mr.
the end.
Aykroyd. I'm a
Well,
believer.
no, well, you know, we need cynics, and we need cynics and skeptics, because that's the way you sort out the hoaxes from what's real.
Yeah.
If you have a good skeptic and a good cynic on a case, whatever you're investigating, they're going to sort out, is it climatological, is it weather, is it a sound effect, are we hearing something from another place, is it a fake, is it a hoax? That's very important to the research. Very important.
Now, it seems, I mean, extraordinary that it was nearly 30 years ago. It was 1984 that Ghostbusters came out. It's just
Yep.
extraordinary. I know it's shocking, actually. The first one, Ghostbusters 1, and then Ghostbusters 2, obviously.
Took a while to make.
Took a while,
yeah,
just
yeah.
a few years to come out. Can we see a little clip of that?
Well, that was all that negative energy, you see?
Yeah.
And negative energy can be very harmful, and so it affects the way we go through life. And that second movie was about all the negative energy in New York City pooling in a river underneath the city. So, yeah.
Was it quite easy talking to a bowl of
You know, for a lot of, well, you know, as an actor, we think we can do anything. But I remember for a lot of the effects in both Ghostbusters 1 and 2, Ivan Reitman would be standing by the camera, you know, after a long day's work, he'd be there, and we were supposed to be looking at some amazing apparition, and he'd be standing by the camera, completely tired after a day's work, with a pie plate going... Ivan. So we think we can do anything.
In that scene, Dan,
Yeah.
was that scripted or was that all improv? Because you're all sort of...
That was scripted. Yeah,
It
that
was
was
all
scripted.
scripted.
Yeah, pretty much really it was Murray that would be more the improviser than the rest of us there. As writers, of course, we write a script and we stick to the words, please, that kind of thing. But it was mostly written.
Dan,
Yeah.
I'd be murdered by many, many people all at the same time if I didn't ask you about Ghostbusters 3.
Well, I don't know at this point. At this point, the script has to be perfect, and at this point, it is not perfect, and we're not going to do something that isn't perfect, so I have no idea on time. Obviously, the studio wants to make it. I want to make it. Mr. Reitman wants to make it.
We want you to make it.
Mr. Reitman, I'm doing everything I can from my 1/4 or 1/5 of the equation. I'm doing everything I can, but at this point, I really don't know.
Okay.
And it's just a nature of Hollywood. It takes a long time. E.T., that wonderful movie that Steven Spielberg wanted to make, took him 10 years to get that made. Yeah. And he had to pitch a lot of studios, and they didn't get the vision. And it happens to all of us. It's just a really...
fingers crossed then.
Yeah.
It's an ephemeral thing,
Positive
picture making.
energy.
Dan, we've
Indeed.
got loads more to talk to you about, so you will stay with us.
I will
won't
stand
you?
by.
Marvellous. Join us after the break when we'll have more from the simply delightful Dan Aykroyd. We'll see you in 3. Well, he's still here, and we're still excited. We're joined by today's very special guest, Dan Aykroyd. Dan, can you tell us why you're in London at the moment? For a specific reason?
Well,
Other than to see us, obviously.
Well, I'm here to look for a new House of Blues, perhaps to put a House of Blues here. And I'm also in the beverage alcohol business, and we have a product called Crystal Head Vodka. It comes in a skull, and it is...
They like that.
The difference between that and a lot of vodkas is that we removed all of the industrial oils commonly used in vodka production today. If you go to... vodkas today, many of them, if you open them up, they'll smell very perfumey. That's because they put glycol, citrus oil, and raw sugar in there. We removed that all, and now bartenders all over the world are loving our product because it's a clean slate to start a drink with.
Yeah.
It's the virgin slate for making martinis and any other kind of mixed drink because there's no industrial oils at all.
How do you get them out? How do you do that? How do you make it that pure?
Well, what happens is the vodka usually is made, of course, all vodka starts with water. So we start with Newfoundland water from the province of Newfoundland, Canada, which is kind of like our Iceland, if you will. And we take that, and we take the mash, our proprietary mash of grains, a little corn, a little wheat, rye, what I won't say like what the mash bill is, but we put that all together, and we just stop there, basically. A lot of industrial producers will then add the citrus oil, which is a bug exterminant in its raw form. They will add glycol, which is the antifreeze that powered the Spitfire engine and cooled it in World War II, and also raw sugar, and you don't need any more sugar in alcohol. No. So we just stopped the process short. We won a gold medal, double gold, at the World Spirits Competition in San Francisco last year. And so I'll be...
involved with spirits in the first place? Is this a drink of yours that you like?
Well, I just you know, wanted a vodka that didn't have this oily, satiny, up front of the mouth feel that it's in a lot of vodkas today. We'll be at Jerry's in Soho tomorrow at 4 o'clock, signing bottles, so come on! Yeah, Jerry's Wines in Soho. Yeah, I'm excited about that.
I've got a viewer's question for you here.
Sure.
It's from Eddie. He says, Dan, you are my hero. And are you still involved with Saturday Night Live at all?
Well, I'm very proud that I can say that I worked there for 4 years, and when I'm not traveling and not working, I watch the show every Saturday. I'm not formally involved, but I'm a big fan of Kristen Wiig and Jason Sudeikis and Armisen and all the people that are coming up through it now. And certainly, you know, I look at it as my old alma mater.
Do you?
And I do come back sometimes.
Was it in the 1970s?
75 to 79. I've been back a few times to do, I hosted once, and I went back a couple of times to do things for them. When I go into the studio, you know, I've got to watch it, because the last time I was there, I went in, and Alec Baldwin was hosting, and I was just watching the show, and then Lauren comes to me and says, Alec, he's got too much, we need someone to go in and be John Boehner, the Speaker of the House. Will you do it? You know, so unrehearsed and live, I went in and I did John Boehner, the Speaker of the House. Well, he likes to drink. Well, I'm a family of pub owners. Ohio. Oh, well, he cries. Well, I did him, and I just, you know, had to do him.
We've got another question here from a viewer called Emma. She says, how do you look back on your time alongside the late, great John Belushi and Blues Brothers?
Well, I knew John for 8 years, and we had a wonderful, wonderful relationship. We just had the best time. We fell in love the night we met at Second City in Chicago, in Toronto it was. He walked in the back door. It was a snowy, blustery night. And I'd heard he was coming to town, and his reputation had preceded him. He was coming up to raid talent for the Lampoon show, and he grabbed Gilda and a couple other people, took them down to New York. But he walked in the first time I saw him. The door opened at the dressing room of the green room. The green room opened right onto the parking lot of the venue, and he came in, and there was snow swirling around him, and he had this driver's cap and a white scarf thrown around him, and no winter coat at all, like a cardigan, like a sweater, you know. And he just like, the actor has arrived. And he was wonderful. And I, of course, when I heard about Whitney Houston, it took me right back to that day, March 5th, 1982, when I was phoned and told that I'd lost my partner of that long. And I feel the grief that her family's feeling, and I also feel that there's a lesson to be learned, that you gotta protect the people that you love. And Judy and I certainly protected John as much as we could, but we weren't there that last morning that he died, and I will always regret that I wasn't nearby to maybe intervene. But you know, when you see a problem coming, you gotta get in protecting. You gotta be there, and you have to be a presence. And I think that's an important important thing to remember when you have someone that may be victim to these weaknesses for whatever reason.
Well, speaking of the people that you love, obviously you're a very busy man. How do you keep such a successful marriage and your daughters, do you see them?
Well, you know, I have 3 daughters, and I don't even know them.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been with them for, you know, but if you look back and you think, of course, I was away a lot for business, but I've had really wonderful quality times. But in the end, you can't ever have enough time with your children, and you can't ever really know your children in the end. You know, my daughter's 23, 22 now. She's at university. She finished college after 4 years, and I'm thinking, you know, when do we ever, you know, like to just spend a couple of days together? And that time is really important. So I think it's important to put that, you know, put that in perspective and know that family is probably the most important thing that's ever going to happen to you. As far as being married, you got to pick the right partner, which I did. Yeah, and then I think it's important, and men need to know this, that women, when they ask you, so, hon, how'd your day go? What did you do today? If you walk in and say, like a lot of guys say, oh, nothing, nothing. No, you don't say that. Well, I went down to the Shell station. They got a great deal on petrol there today. And, oh, yeah, I picked up that hairbrush, the one that you know, that doesn't have the wires in. Oh, yeah, so I heard from, oh, Davy Brown called me. And he said, oh, he's going to be coming to the farm. And, oh, that reminds me. Yeah, that champagne, I got that for you. And, oh, you know, every detail. Give them every detail. Women love to hear that. Oh, by the way,
listen to you for another hour.
Well, I could talk
I've never seen the Loose Women quite so well behaved.
I could talk a gramophone to scrap iron. Or a taxi dispatcher into a vow of silence. So, thank you for putting up.
Thank you, Dan Aykroyd. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Really
That's all for now. Join us tomorrow on Valentine's Day, till 12:30.